Okay, it's Sunday, which means against my better judgment, it's time to go to Reddit and see what we can find in this hive of scum and villainy. Any roll shot calling tip. When shot calling, it is best to predict outcomes than to play-by-play the action in real time. Why? If you are Zarya and you simply tell your Hanzo that you are pressing Q to grab, he will not have sufficient time to react. Please instead let him know what that is going to happen by... I hate when people do the countdown thing. Because usually what happens is they start doing the countdown and then halfway through they're like, I kind of missed the opportunity actually, didn't I? But now I have to finish because I started counting down already. I'll feel like an idiot if I stop. I think it is better instead to say that you are looking for an opportunity to grab so that they have some advanced warning you're going to do it when you do it, rather than doing the countdown. Small tip for Sombra/Tracers. Let's see, basically the tip is that a Tracer will usually use her full clip onto you, then be forced to reload. Use this to your advantage, so you wait until she is reloading, then hack her. Yeah, you know, fair enough. As for Tracer, don't burn all 40 bullets in your clip versus Sombra. Okay. That makes sense, yep. If they're reloading, they can't do shit, so you should hack them. What to do if you find a translocator? The reason everyone gets so infuriated about Sombra is that you can pop into a fight, get a pick, pop out. But if you know where her translocator is, basically gank her on the translocator. Yeah, Couple of questions about Brigitte. When you stun someone with a shield bash, do you get 2 confirmed hits on them, meaning that they won't be able to move until you get 2 guaranteed hits? I actually don't know. Despite playing a lot of Bridget, I don't know if you get 2 guaranteed hits off the stun. If you do, it's just barely. It's just the kind of thing I've never really thought to take notice of, really. And now I'm thinking about it, like... I feel like it's just under 2 attacks. Like, it's like 1.8 attacks or something like that. But I don't know, I've never actually made note, to be honest with you. When I pop her ult, does everyone on my team, no matter where they are, get the shield? No. Also, is the speed boost and AoE effect around Brigitte? No, it's just Bridget. What is the approximate range of healing from my teammates when I smack the enemy with my flail? Big boy. It's something like 30 meters. That's too big. It's big. It's fucking big. Like, you don't have to worry about it most of the time. It's alright, they're nerfing Bridget, don't worry about it. How many heroes to specialize in? I'm trying to learn more heroes, and I'm wondering how many total I should try to specialize in. I think at minimum, you should specialize in 4. So that's 2 in your main role, and then 1 in the other 2. But ideally, I think it should be 6. 2 in each category. 1 tank, 1 main tank, 1 off tank, 1 main healer, 1 off healer, and then whichever 2 DPS you want to play, honestly. Minimum 4. Ideally, I'd say 6. As many as you want, really, but like, it gets hard, you know? Who cares about the I don't know shit about the endorsement. I've been like 2 the entire time. Who cares? How to maximize value on a disorganized team. Low plat with little time to sink in to grind higher, and a lot of the time I do have is during what I've termed peak idiot hours. My issue is that I'm trying to tank for people who behave randomly, against people who behave randomly. Makes me garbage. I'm not... See, I don't find that, like, people usually act randomly. Not in plat, anyway. In, like, bronze, you'll see people who are doing weird random shit, but, like... I don't find they usually act randomly. It's just that they have a very bad understanding of what their limits are, and they tend to do not wise things. Usually they're way too aggressive in low plat, because they've learned from the lower SRs that aggression is good, and then they start running into people who punish them for being too aggressive, and then they get absolutely dunked on. So I don't think it's that they act randomly, it's just that they act, like, very aggressively. And people are just like, whoa, what's this idiot doing? Just like flinging himself into me randomly. What the fuck? He thinks the Winston thinks jumping into 6 people is fine. Because that Winston was previously playing against people who didn't know what to do when he jumped into them. Anyway, that's not the question. I'm not under any impression that I'm a super player, but the difference in what I'm able to contribute to it on a team of adults with useful comms is so much more than 2 entirely different games. It's like 2 entirely different games. And it seems like, at hours which I'm likely to get orderly teams, the enemy should also be organized. You have, like, a very unrealistic expectation of the Overwatch community. Well, those games are going... Sometimes I vote myself team leader and call plays. Sometimes I let someone else, but things just work in those games, even though, in theory, the enemy should be equally organized. Anyone know what's going on there? Or how to play in games that consistently have a Genji and Widow off doing nothing on both teams? I mean, if it really is like as bad as you say, or as like usually there's a Genji and Widow doing nothing on both teams, then all you have to do is outplay the other tank and you'll win the game. Right? Because if that's happening, if it's symmetrical in that way, that both teams have dumb players on them, then all you have to do is outplay the other tank and you will win. Because there's very few other outlier factors to consider. So, the thing is, there's a fucking fly in the room again, goddamn. The thing is that competitive's a crapshoot, and you're gonna play with dumb people constantly, with and against dumb people. They're not acting randomly. They just don't understand the nuance of what they're trying to do. The Genji might be off doing nothing, but that's because he's been told Genji is a flanker. So what he has interpreted that as meaning is going off on your own and harassing from the side, but he doesn't actually know how to do that, or how to create opportunities and things. Likewise, the other team's Genji will be trying to do the same thing. He knows he's meant to flank. He doesn't know what that means exactly. So, similarly, like, if you're playing against, like, a Reinhardt on the other team, if you're playing, like, Reinhardt and you're playing against an attacker's Reinhardt, he knows that he's meant to go in, and he's meant to initiate a fight. He doesn't know what that means. So he interprets engaging a fight as, well, what's my engage button? It's charge. So then he's randomly charging in because he doesn't know how to engage, basically. So it's not that they're disorganized, it's just that they don't know how to really accomplish what they're trying to do. So it's more about, like, adjusting expectations than anything else. With the playing against the team. If your team's doing their own thing, whatever, you can't really stop them from doing that. But, like, the people aren't doing random things. They just don't know what they're trying to do. If they're just, basically, you capitalize on their mistakes for doing dumb shit, is pretty much the moral of this story. If the other team, like, their Reinhardt doesn't know how to engage, you wait for him to try and engage, he makes a bad engage, and then you counter-engage. If their Genji's trying to flank, but he doesn't know how to flank, you wait for him to try and flank badly, and then you punish him for doing that, right? Like, they know what their hero is meant to do, they just don't know how they're meant to do it. This is why the Winstons jump in 1v6. They know that they're meant to disrupt and distract, but they don't know what disrupt and distract means exactly, so they've interpreted that as jump into 6 people and die, basically. So you wait for them to do the stupid thing that they do, and then you punish them for it. Overwatch is a game about punishing people's mistakes, so you wait for them to make the mistake, and then you punish them. And that's how you make it. And if they're a disorganized team, they'll be doing a lot of dumb shit that you can punish, and then it shouldn't actually be that hard. In theory, anyway. Question about playing Zarya. I mained Zarya last season and was playing her again tonight, and I noticed something that I felt was substandard in my gameplay. Despite having an average energy of 70% on the game, I didn't perform great in damage and don't have a lot of grabs. And I've realized when I play Zarya, I do a great job of building energy, but I often find it difficult to get angles on the enemy to produce damage. Usually the enemy Ryan's shield is in the way, and I'm curious as to how I can output more damage when playing Zarya. Is it an issue with positioning? With high energy? So, basically when you're high energy, you can play pretty fucking aggressive, because you're playing the best hero in the game at that point. The trick is learning how aggressive you can get away with being. Because, just because you have, like, 100% charge doesn't mean you can run headlong into 6 people and live, right? Like, you can take this too far the other way. Usually, people are too passive when they play Zarya. You have to play passively when you're at low charge, because you're trying to get to high charge. Once you're high charge, you can play more aggressively. So it's about getting to high charge, and then finding opportunities to be aggressive. So positioning is probably part of it, but... you know, there's, like, just generally always trying to be doing something as well. Like, if you can't, like, really hit anybody right now, just be spamming right clicks at them, just, like, in their general area of their team, and you'll, like, do damage to them. Just, like, big AoE damage getting chucked at them. You're playing Junkrat, basically, at that point. So it's probably not playing aggressively enough at high charge, but then you can play too aggressively still as well. But the goal is play passively when low charge, play aggressively when high charge, and build up ult, kill people, win game. So positioning is part of playing aggressive, certainly. That's probably part of the issue, but it's probably just basically playing too passively when you can be playing more aggressively. I find Zaryas are either one of two extremes. They either always play too passively or they always play too aggressively. I've seen them running in at 0 charge, like, I'm gonna kill them all, and they just like, oh, tickle, 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 and everyone's like, what the fuck are you doing? Fucking Mercy just pulls out the pistol and shoots you to death because she out-damages you, right? Like, or they are sitting there, like, glowing like fucking Chernobyl about to melt down, and then they're just still sitting there, like, not doing anything, just, like, holding left click on Reinhardt's shield when they could be, like, trying to bully people more actively. So it's probably playing too passively. How to climb when hard stuck. This is too long already. It's when it starts with introduction, you know it's going to be too long. Increase of competitive energy while having the game still look nice. I'm not a tech guy. Whatever. Lower the set. Put them low. Low as fuck. Why are there always two extremes? I played Flex for many seasons, then focused on finding my mains the past 2 seasons. I've worked on mechanics a lot, My question is, why do I completely carry the match with stupid high limbs and damage, where we completely destroy the other team, or I get completely steamrolled and feel I have no control over the game? Because there is not much in the between, really. Because it's, the one team is always going to reach a breaking point, right? Because the point is going to be closest is right at the start of the game or right at the start of the round, right? Where both teams just immediately, like, push up against each other. And then both teams, like, try and put pressure on the other team. And then eventually, depending on, it can be almost instantly or it can take a while. Eventually one team just, like, reaches breaking point and then they start getting snowballed over, basically. Once one team starts winning, it's a lot easier to keep winning. Once one team starts losing, it's very hard to stop losing. And this is true of all games. Overwatch is better than most because, like, if you compare, like, Overwatch, like, a MOBA, the one team that starts winning has, like, a massive gold advantage over the losing team, and as a result, they just have more stats than the losing team, so it tends to just, like, go downhill very quickly. Overwatch, there's no stats to consider, so that makes it less of an issue, but then there's also still the issue of, like, tilt and momentum and all that, where once you start winning, it's easy to keep winning. It's hard to stop losing once you've started losing, especially with Overwatch community being the way it is. That is to say, fucking awful and full of children. So, the reason it's always two extremes is because there isn't a lot of middle ground, really. Like, it's always gonna be fairly one-sided. And, like, it can flip back and forth, right? Like, you've almost certainly played games where, like, you crushed round one, then the other team crushed you right back, right? And it was just a complete swing of momentum. There's just not a lot of middle ground. You either killed the enemy team and captured the point, or you didn't. There isn't really an in-between state, really, except, like, actively fighting. But fights in Overwatch are very quick. Like, there isn't a lot of time usually for really extended engagements, right? So there just isn't a lot of middle ground, really. As well as just, like, once you start winning, you usually keep winning kind of deal. Website for tracking VoD reviewers. Counter to double sniper plus dive tanks. I'm mid-diamond, and I feel like I always feel lost. It's English. It's very fucked up language. It doesn't always work, but when it does, I don't have any idea what to swap to. My friends have been telling me to run 3-3 against this, but I feel like we just get whittled away at from being long range. So yeah. Goats is fair enough to run right back at it. To me, it sort of depends on which side is doing the most work, right? And this, you have to kind of account for this in the moment, really, but like, I feel like it's always either the divers are doing a lot of work or the snipers are doing a lot of work. I find that it's not usually both of them are doing a lot of work. So if you can identify which is doing the most work, then that should tell you what you should change to counter it. If both of them are doing, like, both the sides of it are doing work, then I mean, get fucked, right? But like, it's the kind of comp that's very hard to deal with. The main issue, more than anything else, will be that the more disorganized your team is, the more vulnerable you are to this kind of composition. Because both of these categories of heroes love picking people off, right? And love finding stragglers. So if your team is just kind of scattered all off doing their own thing, it's going to be difficult to survive against it. It is mostly about survival more than anything else, because it's just, essentially it's too, like, I'm gonna kill these motherfucker guys, right? So if you can survive the initial, like, engagement, they don't necessarily have a lot of, like, staying power beyond that. So this is why, like, 3-3 is fair enough to go against it, because, like, that makes it very hard for you to die to them, right? Snipers are not good at killing tanks. Divers are not good at killing tanks. So you've got more tanks and you've got more healers. That makes it difficult for them to kill people. But again, if your team is unorganized, then that's not going to really help you much anyway. So I would say try and identify which half of the comp is doing the most work and try to play around that side as much as possible and try to get some organization in your team. But I mean, that's going to be super hit or miss based on, like, who you're playing with at the time. Is it worth it to high noon a high HP target that's been slept? I can imagine worlds where that's the correct play, yeah. So it'll depend mostly. Deadeye is fair enough to use to just, like, pick off 1 or 2 people really quickly. So Deadeyeing the sleeping, like, tank isn't necessarily that far off, right? Tanks are also usually pretty important people, so it'll depend on mostly who's in position to capitalize on the sleep. Because if it's just you and Anna, you are probably not going to kill the guy when he gets up. So then you might consider using Deadeye to make sure you kill him, if you think this dude is important enough to kill. Because, like, or the situation you're in, because if you slept the dude, but it's, like, literally you and Anna are the only 2 people left alive, then there's no point doing it, right? But if, like, you trank somebody, but nobody other than, like, you and Anna are in a position to capitalize, it might be worth Deadeyeing to kill the guy. But if, like, you've got teammates around you, you shouldn't need to use Deadeye to kill the guy. You should be able to, like, your team collectively should be able to kill the guy. He might get up and try to limp away, but, like, if you got, like, 4 people beating on the guy, he shouldn't get away. So I can imagine a world where that's worth doing, but I would say that's an outlier situation. Most of the time, it's either gonna be like, you using Deadeye to kill this guy won't really get you much momentum, or they've been trained in a position where you don't need to use Deadeye to kill them because your team are in a position to capitalize on it. It can be the correct decision, but I would say that it is relatively rare for that to be the correct decision. Made it to plat last week. What should I know? Even when playing goods, I still struggle trying to get deeper in plats. I struggle against some of the carry DPS like Widows and Doomfist. Wait for Doomfist to get nerfed and Roadhog to get buffed. What can I say? Widowmaker is like dive the Widow. You know, obviously, but like that's the answer really. Even when playing goes, I still struggle. What should I know about this TDA to get a grasp of what I mean, I basically already talked about this. People don't know what they're meant to be doing, but they don't know how to do it, so try to punish them for doing the thing they don't know how to do. How is Fuey 500 still in GM? Dude knows how to play the game? I don't know what to tell you, dude. Like, he knows how to play the game? How do I maximize my healing with Ana? Been a PC player, got it on PS4 the other day. Okay. Aurora and Ana are becoming my favorite. I have to bust my ass to keep up with the other healers and get golden healing. I mean, yeah, Moira is way easier to play than Ana, so that's going to be the case, yeah. A lot of the utility that other supports don't, so yeah. Though she does do a lot of healing as well. Are there any Ana extra... I mean, it's so vague of a question. It's most likely aim-related. Max value on their grenade is you're trying to hit as many people with it as possible. Don't use it like between fights to heal people. You want to use it during a fight, and you want to hit as many people with it as possible. Ideally, as many people on both teams as possible. But like, it's a very vague question overall. It's the kind of thing where like seeing a game is helpful for that kind of thing. I'm getting good at Mercy. This is also very vague. But I just die and don't heal, revive, attack, boost people very well. Emphasis on the dying a lot part. I mean, if you know that you're doing badly timed revives, then, like, you know, you already have identified the issue. It's about getting yourself to stop doing that. So, the thing that usually gets Mercy players killed is that they are... People have this idea that if you're playing a support, you have to be really altruistic, right? You have to be willing to sacrifice yourself to try and save other people. When in reality, it should be the exact opposite. You should be you're probably have to play the most selfish player, because like, you're the most important member of the team, right? You, the support, are the most important member of the team. If you're dead, no one else is alive. So... you need to stay alive, so you have to be prepared to write people off as being dead, right? Because Mercy players get themselves killed trying to save people all the time, and what usually happens is the dude was unsavable, so the Mercy just ended up dying with him, whereas the Mercy could have just written him off. Moira players do this as well, because they'll like fade up to somebody to try and heal them, then they faded next to the danger and died with the person they were trying to save. So I don't, like, you, Mercy, are the most important member of the team. So, put your own survival above trying to sort of save other people. You shouldn't be, like, overextending to try and keep people alive, because you're more important than them. You can't obviously take this too far away where you're like fucking 9 zip codes back, just like hiding away, like not actually healing or anybody, right? Because you're playing too safe. So it's about finding the happy medium. But like, usually what gets Mercy players killed is they like will go too far up to try and keep somebody alive and get killed for it. And And, like, you know, they'll go for the revives when enemies are still around and things like that as well. But clearly you already know that's a problem. So don't be afraid to just, like, write people off. Remember, you're the most important person. If that dude did something dumb, he did something dumb. Don't go do something dumb trying to save him from his dumb mistake. Dumb only begets more dumb, basically. Insert look at America joke here or something like that, you know. Nothing I can really do here anymore. I've dropped around 2S. It's not even that much. I'm currently in bronze, and it's impossible to start climbing. But I watch the videos. I get the medals. Cancel ults at time. I don't think I deserve this bronze rank at all, and should at least be in silver by now, but my team is holding me back. Man, how am I supposed to hard carry that I'm only slightly above them in skill level? Do I have to be a diamond player to get out of them before it's just your team? Don't be such a baby. Playing with the team as Sombra. With all the people insisting upon trying to play Hammond and the rise of Doomfist, I've taken to playing more Sombra. Around my healers, just to hack and then kill Hammond and Doomfist. That's fair enough, honestly. Like, if you're picking Sombra because you're trying to counter Hammond and Doomfist, as long as you're countering Hammond and Doomfist, that's fair enough, honestly. It depends on what you're trying to do, really. Because, I mean, you know, I think that Sombra is most useful when played very aggressively and, like, flanking the enemy team, yeah. But, like, after they buffed her spread, if you know what I mean, she can be played as kind of, like, a mid-range DPS. Like, her range is actually, like, pretty good, all things considered. And you can just kind of, like, play mid-range, like, sort of soldier-esque, and then just, like, hack and bully tanks, basically, and, like, divers as well. So, like, if you're picking Sombra because you're trying to counter Hammond and Doomfist, then hanging around your own team is, like, far from the end of the world, provided you are actually countering them, right? Just bought the game, and I really like Tracer. How do I Tracer good, though? Let's try all the heroes. After I decided I like playing Tracer the most. Good hero. It's getting easier and I'm learning how to use my brinks. I still die for usually stupid reasons that are my fault. Except when it's Ashe, because I hate Ashe. Any tips on being better? I mean, the dying, like, I keep dying as Tracer. There's like a million things you can be doing to die as Tracer, right? So that's kind of like, that's hard to answer. Do I really have any good general Tracer tips? So, with, like, maximizing Tracer, I'm struggling to think how to accurately describe what I'm trying to say here. There's this thing with Tracer players where, like, they have, like, lag time on their aim. And what I mean by this is a Tracer will blink somewhere and then readjust their aim after that, right? You'll see them blink, then aim. Whereas ideally, as you're blinking, you're already adjusting your aim, so that as soon as you've finished, as soon as you appear, you're shooting at the dude again, right? Whereas otherwise you blink and then have to adjust afterwards. It should be like, as you're blinking, you snap over to where that person's gonna be after you finish the blink. I don't know if I conveyed that in a way that makes sense, but basically, like, you have to account for where you're gonna go and aim as you're blinking, rather than blink, then aim afterwards, to really, like, maximize Tracer. This is also why there's that, that thing where, like, elevator music was playing in my mind. I don't know if you could tell. This is why there's also that thing where, like, Tracer players will, like, fire their entire clip, reload, and blink while they're reloading. Partly because if you're reloading, if you blink while you're doing that, you're doing something during your period of downtime, basically, because it takes you a little over a second to reload, so like you're doing something while that's happening. But also that gives you a little bit more time to adjust the aim as well while you're doing that. I don't really have any general Tracer tips, other than that, to be honest with you. To be honest, I never got to play Tracer as much as I wanted to. I was going to be the greatest Tracer in the world, but that never really panned out. I ended up playing Reinhardt instead. Ashe is going to be the one, god damn it. This is going to be my hero. Let's see. Stacks did not join team chat. Team chat's a waste of time. Keep getting tilted when I play all of a sudden. Okay, I see. I don't know why. I just completely failed to parse that sentence right there. I would always stay until the end and brush it off. Suddenly I just get tilted when I play now. Because I'm getting tilted. No idea what else. I mean, maybe you're just having a bad week. I don't know what to tell you, dude. Nobody wants to play support in low levels. Yeah, DPS, hard carry. Also, Reddit told them that if they want to climb, they should just pick a DPS and hard carry. Even though people in bronze and silver and gold don't know how to hard carry on a DPS anyway, so they shouldn't be doing that. They should really be trying to pick, like, the Winston, where, you know, they're just easy to play, but, like, they were told that if they want to climb out of low SR, what they should do is they should just pick a DPS and hard carry, but if they're in low SR, clearly they don't know how to hard carry, do they? Like, how am I supposed to use Orissa's halts? Basically to peel for people, or to try and, like, yank people out of position. It also combos well with some abilities. Like, it's the kind of ability that if you can get an amount of coordination going, it's helpful, because it's like a mini graviton, right? So if you can coordinate a bit with, like, your Reinhardt, your soldier, you know, and they can, if you halt them together, fire strike, missiles into them, you know, that kind of, Anna can throw a grenade into them. People who have, like, these big AoE abilities, Halt can, like, group a bunch of them together, and then, hey, now there's, like, 3 purple people over there, you know, things like that. Otherwise, you can use it to put peel for people, like the Genji just dashed up to Mercy, yank him off the person. Doomfist trying to dive him, yank them off the person, and then they're slowed as well afterwards for a little while, so it, like, fucks them up, you know? So you peel people, group them together, you try and kill people by pulling them off edges, you know, but basically it's like, pull people together. Also, like, ideally you throw it, like, a little bit off the ground, because usually the Orisa players just, like, throw it straight at the enemy, but, like, let me draw, if that'd be easier. I can't really see my screen properly right now, but let's draw. Suppose, hopefully this is actually visible, because I only have one monitor right now, so I just have to kind of trust that everything's working correctly. Suppose that the dude is, like, here, right, at ground level. That's a man right there. Most people just chuck the halt straight at him. Ideally, you chuck the halt, like, above their head, because then they have to actually fall to the ground again before they regain control. Which just elongates the crowd control a little bit more, basically. So, use it to peel people, group people together, throw it off the ground to elongate the crowd control effect. All good stuff, good times. Okay, I'm not a tech guy, I'm not going to try. Getting value out of Ashe. Comparison to Anna and utility versus frag power. Ashe gets some important damage breakpoints, and I think the differences are... fuck this shit. How do I get better at recognizing my own mistakes? Everybody always suggests that you should watch your own VoDs, but I'm stuck at Diamond for a reason, so it feels like I just don't know how to... So... realizing your own mistakes is important. Basically, like, the easiest way to notice your own mistakes is just every time you die, think about it for a second, like, why did I die? and then ask yourself, did I die because I made a bad decision? Or did I die because I made a fine decision, but I executed it poorly? And then that will tell you on what you need to improve on right there. Do I need to, positioning, decision-making, or mechanical skill? But if you're going to watch your own VoDs, part of it is looking for your own mistakes. Yeah, there's that. But you should also be looking for the opportunities you didn't see at the time, because that's as important, right? When you're completely detached from the game, you don't have to worry about actually playing the game. It's easier to see what your own mistakes were, because then you can suddenly, you don't have to worry about actually playing, right? But it's also easier to see the opportunities that you missed at the time as well. So just when you die, think about why you died. Did I die because I made a bad decision, or did I die because of a mechanical mistake? And then, troubleshoot the problem like that. And then watch your own VoDs, look for your own mistakes, same thing, same principle right there, but also try and find the opportunities in the game that you didn't see while you were playing, because then next time you're in a similar situation, you're more likely to notice the opportunity. And if anything, that's more important in, Diamond, because by that point, you've probably gotten over a lot of the really big mistakes, so it'll be more about, fine-tuning at that point, and a lot of the fine-tuning phase is spotting, the very small opportunities that you get that you could take advantage of. So, don't just worry about the mistakes, also look for the opportunities. How the fuck do you win on Busan in comp? I'm gonna keep it real with you, Chief. I haven't played that much Busan yet still. I'll get back to you on that one. In order to win, aren't always the way to go. True, yes, but, this is very important. You need to account for the fact that not having a meta comp is going to tilt people, or is likely to tilt people. It is true, you do not need to go 2-2-2 or a meta comp in order to win the game. I've won with 5 DPS and 1 healer, I've lost to 5 DPS and 1 healer, despite that being a bad comp, right? The thing is, though, that while you don't need those comps to win, you do need to account for the kind of people that you're playing with. If you identify that the people you're playing with are going to tilt if you don't go with a meta comp, you should really try to go with a meta comp, because if people get tilted by you doing something or making the switches, then you have just drastically reduced your chances of winning rather than improving them. The team comp is only part of it. You also need to account for the people you're playing with, right? So if they're gonna get upset with you for not doing, the meta comp, then you should probably just still try and do the meta comp, right? Or try and find a meta comp that will accomplish what you're trying to do. Because you need to account for, tilting people on your team. I don't care if Bastion is, legitimately the best choice you can make on paper. In practical terms, your team might get super tilted by the fact you picked Bastion. So maybe don't pick Bastion. Maybe pick someone else, right? But it's true, you don't need a meta comp, but, if your team's gonna tilt over it, you kinda do. I think endorsements should be class-based, then I'd actually feel good when I get one. Endorsements are a waste of time. A lot of recent guides about not flexing. I've been going on about this since the dawn of time. When dinosaurs roamed the earth, I was telling people it was better to specialize rather than be average at everything. But, people take a while to catch on. Yet again, my brilliance is unrecognized by the masses. This is why people turn into supervillains. I would if I wasn't so lazy. I cannot hit anyone with Ashe ever. Life is hard like that, sometimes. I think taking on a mirror point is Tracer. What is wrong with Orisa? I can't figure out how it's wise, rather than relatively undervalued. It feels like only 2 months ago, people were telling me that Orisa was dramatically better than Reinhardt, and look how suddenly this is flipped on its head. Now Orisa's useless. It's almost like the internet only exists in extremes one way or the other, right? It's almost like perhaps the truth lies somewhere in between these two extremes, but, you know. Her pick rate is low. I think it's mostly actually just because Orissa's pretty fucking boring. Like, Orissa isn't really a fun hero to play, right? And I don't know many people that have the fantasy of being a robot centaur, right? There are a lot of people who have the fantasy of being a cyborg ninja, but not that many people who want to be a cyborg centaur, really. Even though, like, the cyborg centaur is undoubtedly the more, like, radical of the two things, right? Like, there's not really anything wrong with Orisa as far as I'm concerned. As the close range capabilities, I feel like Orisa is forgotten for the most part. People, like, I guess, yeah, basically they have forgotten about that. Only a few months ago, people were telling me, Reinhardt's dead, Orissa's better. And now apparently we've all forgotten Orisa exists. There's not really anything wrong with Orisa, I just don't think she's a very fun hero to play. How is it decided who pushes the payload? So I've seen in higher level games, after a one team fight, teams will press up almost to the next checkpoint while leaving one on the payload. My question is, who should be the one back on the payload? So I really don't have a good answer for you. Because now that I stop to think about it, this is the kind of thing I know intuitively in the moment, but I'm having trouble thinking how I know who should be on the payload. Because, yeah, you see this happen, and, like, I've seen it happen when I'm playing games, and, like, I know when it should be me or it should be someone else, but, like, I'm trying to think how I know that exactly. I really don't know how to answer that question. I mean, if, like, one person is drastically wounded compared to the rest of them, they can just stay with the payload and get healed while everyone else pushes up to do aggressive things. That's, like, fairly straightforward reason, I guess. Yeah, I really don't know how to answer that question, to be honest with you. Even though I'm fully familiar with this phenomenon, I actually just don't know what to say. How long have we been going? We've been going for about 40 minutes. We'll do one more page. I don't really feel like we've done much, honestly, yet. Let's see. Why in high-level games do people not switch to Widow to counter Pharah? Because in really high-level games, the Pharah actually knows how to play against Widowmaker. Right? So the Widowmaker might know how to click the man's head correctly. But if the Pharah knows how to play around Widowmaker, then there's no guarantee the Widowmaker actually kills the Pharah, because the Pharah will sneak up on the Widowmaker and dunk on her before she knows what the fuck. Which is how, like, as long as you know there's a Widowmaker on the other team and you play around the Widowmaker, you don't actually have to change off of Pharah because they have a Widowmaker. Which is, you know, the common conception that you have to. I have a huge tunnel vision problem. Tracking for about 2 months. Developed a terrible tunnel vision problem. So this is something I've always kind of struggled to give an answer with, because basically, like, you have to be really cognizant of when you're tunnel visioning and just, like, tell yourself off for it, and eventually, like, we have stupid monkey brains. Eventually, the stupid monkey brain will be like, okay, chief, got ya. If you're really struggling with it, what I've recommended doing before is setting up, like, a metronome, because there's websites out there where you can just set up a metronome to tone every now and then. You can set up the interval and all that, or you can just go on YouTube and go, like, type in, like, metronome, right? And there'll be videos that have, like, hour-long metronome toming things, right? Like, and then every time you hear the metronome, you stop and you look around at everything, right? Like, you hear it, and then you go and you look around your screen at everything. Like, you look at the kill feed, you look at it, like, what's going on around me, what are my team doing and everything when you hear the metronome. And then eventually, that becomes muscle memory. You don't need the metronome eventually, because eventually you just do it intuitively, right? So, try that if it's something you're really struggling with. Advice on how to ask nicely. I have a lot of room for improvement. How would you guys recommend I go about telling someone not to do something during, like, hey, how about we not stand in the choke like retards? Well, maybe first off, don't include the word retards in it, right? That might be a good start. Hey guys, we tried to push this route 3 times and we failed each time. Can we try, like, another path? Because each time you're trying to... So, it is better to frame it as a question. This is just a general thing with people, is people don't like being told what to do. So, rather than saying something like, and it's also about, like, how you phrase it, right? Rather than going, like, change off of soldier, right? How about instead you go, hey, soldier, can you do X instead of soldier, right? Offer a suggestion. And frame it as a question, because then they don't feel like they're being told what to do, right? But always offer an alternative. It's not helpful to just go, this route's not working, or can we stop going this way? You have to also provide an alternative. So if you're playing like Anubis, don't just go, can we stop going left? Instead go, how about we try right this time? And then people are more inclined to go with that, because you've offered an alternative, and you framed it like a question. You weren't telling people to go right. Got you? You know? That's really all I have to say about it, because that's, like, the important thing is always offer an alternative. Always offer a suggestion, because it's not productive to go, this isn't working. You have to go, this isn't working, we should do. Right? But then frame it as a question instead. So if you've identified an issue, or you've identified, like, we should be doing this, go, hey, how about we try this instead of that? Hey, soldier, can you go Winston, for example, right? You know, and then the person might go, no, fuck off, right? But you've done everything you can at that point. You've taken all the steps you possibly can to try and get them to do something, really. So always offer a suggestion and try to frame it as a question, so people don't feel like they're being told what to do, which people don't like. Small tip versus Wraith form. Wait till the end to use your short movement abilities. I mean, yeah, because he's got the speed boost, you get away from him after he does that, he can't close the gap on you again. It is the kind of thing that, like, seems so obvious to me that I'd almost never think to use it as a suggestion, really, but, like, yeah. Not everybody's gonna know. What are all the ways to deflect a grav? And also using symmetrical... Oh, what can I block? What can I even block? Shatters. I mean, you know, if you're talking about just, like, stopping Graviton, you can eat it with Diva, or you can deflect it with Genji. You can block it on a shield as well, but that doesn't necessarily help if, like, everybody's standing behind the shield, right? Symmetra's ult can block... pretty much everything that isn't a beam effect. It doesn't block Coalescence. It doesn't block Torbjorn. Right? Torbjorn's doesn't get blocked. You can deflect it, and you can eat it. But does Torbjorn's get blocked on a shield? I don't think so. I'm actually not 100% sure. Because I've never really looked that closely, and I'll be honest with you, I haven't played as much Overwatch lately. I think I've seen it going through shields. So it can block Earth Shatter, it can block Self-Destruct, it can block Barrage. What else? It can't block Emp. Emp breaks it, so that'll feel bad. Emp just did 5,000 damage. Oof, feels bad, man. One block Dragon Blade, you know, it's a melee attack. It'll block Pulse Bomb. It blocks a lot of things. Basically, if it isn't a beam or a melee attack, it'll block it pretty much. It won't block, wait, no, does it? I'm actually not certain on that one. I'm not even going to say it. Because that one I'm really not sure on. I'd go over and Google it on my other... Here's where I'd go look it up on my other monitor if I had one. Life is hard, you know, because it'd be a fucking mess. Yeah, it blocks a lot of things. Any tips too? Who should I main? That is easy. Whoever you like. Well, I mean, easy people. Winston, Mercy, Moira. Soldier's pretty easy. Mei isn't as easy as people think she is. So I was gonna say her for a second. D.Va's pretty easy. I find Zarya easy, but that might just be me, because I know a lot of people do struggle with Zarya. Orissa's pretty easy. Who else is easy? Torbjorn's pretty easy. Pharah's easier than she seems. Those are all the easiest ones I can think of off the top of my head. Reinhardt's pretty easy. Yeah, but who you should main is whoever you want, but those are the easy ones I can think of right now. How do you deal with Wrecking Ball as a main tank? Not many tanks are that good at main tanks are that good with dealing with Wrecking Ball. Because, I mean, Winston, what's he gonna do? Right? Reinhardt, you can hit him. You can try and pin him out of his ball. When he's like spinning around the point being annoying. You know, what's he gonna do, right? Orisa, what's she gonna do, right? Like, the main tanks are not that good at dealing with Wrecking Ball, so your options are relatively limited with all of them, really. It's kind of like, it's one of those things where, like, the rest of your team are probably better at dealing with Wrecking Ball than you are, so you should be more concerned with, like, keeping the rest of them away from your team while the rest of your team deals with the Wrecking Ball, pretty much. Because, like, you as the main tank, like, none of the three main tanks are that good at dealing with Wrecking Ball, really. Any tips for fight at least stand up to Sombra? Ah, I clicked on it, goddammit. As a tank. So, again, like, this is the thing. Tanks are not that good against Sombra. Sombra beats the tanks, so this is always going to be a struggle for you. Particularly D.Va. D.Va just kind of gets fucked. Roadhog, you can hook him, you know? You just gotta be vigilant for the Sombra. Zarya, like... Zarya's not that concerned with Sombra, to be honest with you, because, like, Sombra's cooldown, or Orissa's... What the fuck is wrong with me? Zarya's cooldowns are really long. So, honestly, Sombra tends to not be that much of an issue for Zarya, because, like, you use your abilities, like, once, but then they're on cooldown for 10 seconds. A little bit longer than that. So, like, Zarya isn't usually a high-impact hack target, so the best thing, like, you can do as Zarya is be trying to stop other people from getting hacked, right? Like, maybe be a little bit more conservative with your projected barrier to save it for... to stop someone important from getting hacked, because, like, you putting the bubble on the, like, the Lucio that's about to get hacked, like, the Ana who's about to get hacked, or the Reinhardt who's about to get hacked, that could be more impactful than you getting, like, 20 charge off of it, right? So, consider, doing that, and just, like, be more vigilant for the Sombra to try and harass her as the Zarya. D.Va, you basically just, like, you get fucked by Sombra, so you just have to be, like, constantly vigilant for her, is pretty much what D.Va gets to do. And Roadhog, you can try and hook her, but that, like, if the Sombra is playing well, she, like, won't make that easy for you. You got a shotgun, so it's not that hard to interrupt her hack, because, like, you only gotta get one of the pellets to hit, right? So, there's this thing with Roadhog where, it's worth remembering that the threat of the hook can be more scary than the hook itself, because, like, particularly with flankers, they're hard to hook, right? But they do have to respect the fact that you can hook them, and you'll kill them if they do, right? So, if you throw a hook at somebody that has a low chance of actually getting them, then as soon as they see you miss the hook, they go, Roadhog's not a threat anymore. And then they just go ham, right? Like, as soon as the Sombra sees you miss the hook, she goes, it's free real estate. And then she hacks you, and then she starts farming you for ult charge, right? So, consider, like, not hooking and just, like, interrupting her hack with your right-click. And then, like, wait until you have a decent opportunity to hook her. Because if you just throw a hook out there at her, like, oh, it's gonna get her, and then you, like, totally miss her because she was, like, 1,000 miles away from you, and, like, moving erratically, then, like, she just suddenly goes, no need to be afraid of Roadhog anymore. But, like, D.Va, you just gotta, you get fucked by Sombra, so you just gotta be aware of her. You gotta be looking for that bitch constantly. And Zarya, it's more about protecting the other people, because you aren't really a very high-impact hack target. If she does hack you, honestly, thank goodness, a lot of the time, because there's better people to hack than Zarya a lot of the time. How the fuck do you play Doomfist? Here's how you do it. There's more to it than that, but that's how it feels like when you play against the Doomfist. I don't know how to play Doomfist, really, to be honest with you. I don't have anything constructive to say. I can only make fun of Doomfist. Free melee when unscoping is Ashe. When you shoot and then unscope with Ashe, there is a delay before you can reload or shoot again. But you can melee while waiting. I see. Fair enough. Transitioning from console to PC. Advice. I've never played the console. I don't have good advice for you. I'm sorry. What am I supposed to do when I'm getting harassed by a flanker as a support? My team does absolutely nothing to help me. So, is there further context? Who you play? I try to fly away from Mercing or Sleep Daughters of Anna. So those are the two you play. So, you don't need to kill the person as Anna, right? So, all you need to do is get the person to go away, which they will usually do if you hit them, right? Like, if you hit them with the combo right there, then, you didn't kill him, yeah, but the person is probably going, I'll come back later. And that's all you can really ask for, right? Because once you get a flanker low, they are not likely to continue following. To try and keep going. They might, if it's like Reaper, and he just like Wraith forms up to you after you've done the combo to him, then just like trank him after he comes out of it, like, because he's going to move fairly predictably at that point, he's going to come straight at you. So then you just go trank as he comes out of the Wraith form, and then it's free real estate. But like, flankers, they're gonna disengage when you drop them low enough, and that's the important thing. They didn't kill you. Like, yeah, they're going to come back and do that and try again, but they'll do that if you kill them as well, right? It'll just be a slightly longer period of time before they come back again, but not by that much longer, honestly. So, like, driving them off is perfectly fine. If you're Mercy, all you can do is, like, fly away from the person, or assert yourself and just pull out the pistol and start shooting at them, right? Because they don't expect you to do that. The Genji's gonna come at you, and then you start shooting at him. He's gonna be like, whoa, 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 whoa. And then, like, as soon as you start shooting at him, and he starts taking damage, they start panicking. They start going, don't die to Mercy, don't die to Mercy, don't die to Mercy, don't die to Mercy, don't fucking die to Mercy, right? So, all you can do as Mercy is, like, fly away. Like, you can call for help, obviously, but, like, you can fly away, or you can try and assert yourself on the person. Anna, like, asserting yourself is a lot easier. You're generally fairly beholden to your team actually helping you, as a support, unfortunately. So your best, like, these are your best options, pretty much. But it is worth remembering that, like, just driving the flanker off is good enough. Like, and you go, they're only going to come back in a few seconds. They were going to do that if you killed them. If you killed them, they were just going to respawn, come back, try to kill you again. So, like, effectively, it's accomplished the same thing. It's just the amount of time you've bought yourself is smaller. But, hey, you bought yourself time, right? That's the important thing. So, that's kind of all you can really do with those heroes, really. Widow feels unnatural to aim. If you want SR, flex. to a reasonable extent. I've talked about this roughly, with no exaggeration, 12 billion times, so, you know. On my bronze alt, life is hard. It feels like my skill is decaying. Any tips? Shots I thought of, so, I mean, you could be getting burnt out, but usually this sort of thing is just a self-fulfilling prophecy, where, like, you start to feel like your skill is declining, so then you're like, alright, my skill is actually declining, and then, like, you psych yourself out, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You basically placebo affect yourself into being bad suddenly, and then, like, eventually you have a game where you do well, and you're like, oh, maybe I'm not trash, actually, and that's when the rebound starts to happen, really, because that's just how things are. It's the same concept of, you're like, my arm feels my elbow's a little sore today, let me look that up. Elbow sore, oh, elbow cancer, okay, I guess I have elbow cancer now. Yep, here come all the symptoms of elbow cancer, right? Like, you can psych yourself out really easily with this kind of thing. By the way, I have no less than 4 different forms of cancer right now, so get fucked. I'm winning right now on the cancer sweepstakes. What is currently the best heroes to play in Season 13 competitive? Ana. Hammond if you're good at Hammond, but Hammond is very hard. Doomfist, Genji and Tracer are always consistent. Pharah is also always consistently good. Widow is always consistently good. Hanzo is always consistently good. How far we've come with Hanzo. That we can say that now is like an unequivocal statement, right? Zenyatta's usually good. He struggles more now, but, like, he's, Transcendence is just very strong, as is Discord, particularly versus, more disorganized teams. Yep, those are the ones I got off the top of my head. How to be more effective, aka better, Tracer. We can't talk about this, so unless it's, like, more specific in here, I'm not gonna go into it. This is not more specific. This is less specific, in fact. Overwatch comp is just like the dreaded group projects we all did in school. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. I play so slow. How do I change that? All the way to silver in 1 day on Wednesday. Shit. Good job. Now hovering, played Widow 90% of the time, and the other 10 was Genji. Bridge to silver. I was pressuring, if not killing, the enemy supports, and I was getting called a smurf every game, since my PC is too shit to record VoD. Clips. When I went over those clips, I was surprised to see how dreadfully slow I was playing. Every hood shot took 1.5 seconds at minimum to line up. That's not the end of the world. As long as you got the shot, like, that's not the end of the world. You usually have more time to line these things up than you think you do. Because I took so long to secure 1 kill. And reload, I was also dip and reload despite me having plenty of ammo. I mean, that, you just have to, like, be really conscious of not doing that and, like, chastise yourself every time you do it until the stupid monkey brain goes, alright, gotcha, chief. Stupid monkey brains we all have, I hate it. How do I play faster? I mean, a lot of playing faster is mostly just being really comfortable playing the game, to be honest with you. Because the people who play really slow, or like when I see people playing really slow, they mostly just look uncomfortable playing the game. Like, you need, like, if you watch people who play, like, they play really fucking fast and really smooth, they move around, they know all the layouts of the map and everything, like, they're really comfortable controlling their hero, and that's why they can do these things so quickly, because, like, the muscle memory is all built up, basically, and, like, you have to, build that up over time, more than anything else. Like, as you get better at the game and more comfortable manipulating your hero in the space, then you will just gradually start to play faster as you become more comfortable with the game. So it's mostly just muscle memory, really. And I know this was my experience when playing, like as I've said infinitely lately, like I started playing a fighting game. I started playing Dragon Ball FighterZ, and I played like 4,000 games in that at this point, and it took me probably a good, like, 1,000 games to really actually be comfortable just, like, moving around the screen, right? Like, it was very difficult for me to, like, land on the ground and then dash as soon as I landed on the ground. But now that's easy, right? The concept of, like, doing a cross-up was like, fuck, can't do that shit. You want me to jump and then instantly air dash after I jump? It can't be done. It can be done. It just took me a really long time to be able to do it comfortably, right? Like, you have to get comfortable controlling your hero in the space, and then that just builds up over time. That's just muscle memory. And then as you get more comfortable, you get faster by extension of that, because you don't have to spend so much time thinking about the action, effectively. Your hand just knows what it's meant to do instead. So mostly just get comfortable playing the game is my answer, which is why they pay me the big bucks. Good advice. Didn't mean to click on that. Not sure what to play anymore. This is the last one we're going to do, so it doesn't really matter, right? I was a high diamond Tracer Genji main, because he had hit a peak of, specifically on those two heroes. I was happy. Then season Bridget and the anti-dive meta, I fell from mid-masters. Oh, failure to adapt. By learning Hanzo and Bridget quit the game right after that. Now I'm back again. I was useless in this meta, or just plain boring. Genji and Tracer aren't useless. Would be Tracer, McCree, Widowmaker, Zenyatta, Lucio, Bridget. Does that seem like a viable hero pool? Yeah. I mean, learning Widow is a lot of effort. But, like, if you're good at Widow, hey, that's a skill that's good to have, frankly. Like, that's fine. There's very few hero pools that are not viable, to be honest with you. I mean, you know, people get up to fucking Grandmasters by just playing, like, Torbjorn, right? Like, only playing Torbjorn. So, you can make anything work, right? Like, if you want to make it work, you'll find a way to make it work. People do all sorts of crazy things like that. You go over to MOBA, people will get to, like, fucking Grandmaster's equivalent by just playing, like, the one hero across, like, all 5 roles, right? They'll just play, even though, like, this one person, it's a support, right? They'll just play it everywhere, and they can do it anyway. They'll get up there regardless. It's fine. You watch a fighting game, there'll be a dude who's playing the absolute F-tier character, and he'll be up there. He'll be doing that. He's playing Beerus, god damn it, he's all the way up there anyway. He's fucking at the top, even though he plays Beerus, the worst hero in the game, by far. Ironically, even though he's a god of destruction, he's the worst. Life is difficult sometimes like that. Yeah. That's fine. So that's good enough. There we go. Did it. We did a job. Good job, team. We did it. Job. Good team is what I was about to say right there. So clearly I just had a stroke. So thank you very much for watching. If you did, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. If you haven't already, you can join our Discord and ask questions more directly and have a conversation about them, or just shitpost with us. And I hope you found the video helpful.